What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the last episode of Scale News on the Road. By the time you see this, I'll actually already probably be home. So, anyway. But to do this at our regularly scheduled time, I figured that I would go through everything now before I have to go to the airport in a few hours, it seems like. So anyway, let's jump into this week's topics. The last video in total for 2024. Been a pretty good year, but let's go through this week's topics. Now, the first one that I want to cover is a new tease that's coming from Rolarlo, kind of. I actually haven't been able to find the official tease that they put out. This is definitely a piece of Rolarlo press because they have a pretty specific style and this matches that, but I can't find it on any of their social media. I was sent it, and that's the only place that I've been able to find it or find any sign of it. So I don't know exactly where this came from, but it appears to be that it's the MK07, their 1/7 scale platform that we saw earlier this year that had the Jeep body on it, but now with a Nissan Patrol style body on it. So no other details than that at this point, but another release on that same platform. Rolarlo has had some interesting, this has kind of been, I think this has kind of been their first year out there, other than they had like some earlier stuff that were rebrands or some smaller scale stuff, but some interesting times with Rolarlo in general. One of those companies that I wonder if they'll be a long-term company or if they'll be gone in another year or so, and then we'll kind of look back like, oh yeah, I remember that really weird name that stood for Relax Warm Love. So looking forward to, I just wonder if there'll be anything new under this or if it will just be the exact same thing with that new body. I guess we'll find out when we see more info. Cross RC has got a new one coming, the RC Emo X5 Wrecker. Now, this is the 8th scale platform, the larger scale, and they had another Wrecker earlier, but I believe that was the 6-wheeler, and this is the first 4-wheeler, but I needed to confirm that. Maybe I'll be able to find that information for sure before I put this up. But I did notice that this one is going to get that new Hobbywing Fusion 8 system. So that larger scale 2-in-1 from Hobbywing now put in there. Cross RC, still chugging along, doing newer stuff on some of their platforms, making things work and go through there. So, I guess we'll see. Cross RC has a new US distributor who is much more, it seems like they're going to be a little bit more serious about everything, about actually tracking inventory and hopefully having parts, things like that. I'm still interested in getting that Cross RC tractor that's coming out. Hopefully we're able to get that before too long, just because it's, I don't know. I still think that thing's cool. It's like 27 pounds, dual 550 motors. But this Wrecker, not too bad. I like the larger size of these things sometimes, and this one might be cool. I'm not sure if that Wrecker in the back will actually support things or not, but I guess we'll find out. Speaking of support, channel membership. Segways are back. It's new for 2025. It's all Segways all the time. Channel membership available, helps support the channel a little bit extra. You get extra videos behind the scenes. You get Scale News, After News Delight, which is an extension of this show. And again, it just helps support the channel. There's some other videos you just see catching up on what's going on or what I'm working on behind the scenes that I don't produce a full video on. Or you see videos like the Fordyce mud truck is up there for members right now until the send cut send stuff all gets approved, and then that will be released as well. So we'll see that here in the next week or so, I'm sure. But up there now if you're interested in watching that early. All the information for that is down below. Live stream takeover. Matt and I are going to be starting season 6 here pretty soon. Like another month or two before that goes into the 6th year of that show. Matt and I did a show on Christmas, so we didn't miss even for a holiday. But it was a great time. Thanks for everybody who watched then. And look, this Wednesday, back regularly scheduled programming, back in our own places. Yeah, let's see. Scale News email. If you work for a manufacturer and you'd like to see any of your products on the Scale News Update, you can send me an email to news@harleydesigns.com. Include a photo of the product, a link to your website where it's listed, and some text about the product, and I'll see if I can get it on the Scale News Update for you. Speaking of that, DSM Offroad had a couple of new releases that they sent in. First one that they have is a new multi-accessory mount for the back of the VS410 Phoenix or VS410 Fordyce. Gives you a mount that you can put, some sand ladders and a number of other accessories back there. Kind of fills out that rear area of the cage, and it looks really good. Just a nice, clean way to accessorize that truck a little bit more. They also have a micro winch servo mount for the front of a Vanquish VRD platform if you're using the stubby kit. A lot of clarifiers to that, but if you're using the stubby kit in a VRD, this will give you just an easy spot to mount a micro winch, which can come in handy for if you're just not looking for a ton of winch power, or you want to use like a suck down winch, things like that. Kind of a cool little easy to install, easy to use accessory. You can check those both out on DSM Offroad. I'll put links to those as well as links to all of the stories that we talk about this week that have links that you can look at. Then RC4 Drive had a new release. This is an aluminum utility bed for the K10 Scottsdale. That K10 Scottsdale, it does look pretty good. And these utility beds, I don't know, I just like those as well. I don't know that I would really, I don't have a use for it personally, but I don't know. For some reason, they seem awfully appealing. Proline used to make a Lexan version of them, and for some reason, it just never really took off. But these full detailed ones, I think they're a good buy. I think pretty interesting stuff. RC4 Drive also had some other accessories for like their V8 engines, some exhaust, some different valve covers, things like that. So if any of those are things that you own, you can go check those out. RC4 Drive has them up on their website already. Now, this weird week between Christmas and New Year's is just a slow time throughout tons of areas. New releases, it's just not, most of the time people are trying to get things out before Christmas in advance. So it's a slow time for everybody. A lot of people are taking vacation, all of that. But it's also right beginning of the new year. And one thing that I was noticing while going through and trying to find all of the stories for this week's news is that the racing world, like professional RC racers, those guys are super active right now, getting their new deals announced. They went here, they're leaving here, they're retiring, they're whatever it may be. Tons of stuff going on. And this year, it's probably just because I'm slightly more aware of it this year than previous years because of just trying to watch what different things are going on in the industry. Losi ended their factory team, or whatever they call it, Team Losi, the factory team. And that wasn't necessarily something that I think was communicated long in advance to a lot of these racers. So I think that was kind of a big thing. There was a lot of posts about it from racers in different areas. Some people who had been with them for a really, really long time now are looking for new places, and maybe they were, a significant figure on that team and now finding that type of position somewhere else. Not necessarily easy. So a lot of craziness going on in the RC racing world, both with, it seems, the associated stuff, a little bit of that same. Obviously, I don't think that they cut out their entire team like Losi did, but this also kind of goes hand in hand with, we talked about this a little bit a few weeks ago when we talked about how Losi, they'd put up that social media post kind of talking about how they are going to be redoing things, and it was a lot of speak that didn't make a lot of sense. Well, this was the outcome of all of that. So if you pay any attention to that stuff, kind of interesting to watch along with. Now, there's two updates that I wanted to go back on from previous weeks, something that I feel like I'm going to try and do more of in 2025. Anytime that there is like a little bit of follow-up that maybe doesn't make a whole story, maybe I can just do a quick little follow-up at the end just because. But a week or so ago, we talked about the Proline 155 Mickey Thompson Baja Pro X's. We talked about, or I was wondering where those were going to be made, since the ones that came on the vehicle appeared to be made overseas. But it does appear that the new ones that they are announcing will still be made in the US. So that's kind of cool. I was worried that they would be moving more of that manufacturing of those Proline tires away from their US facility in Banning, and I didn't want to see that. So those will still be made, or those will be made in the US. So the option parts, in case any of you were interested in hearing that, there you go. And then last week I talked about the Rock Hobby Ridge Racer. And I wasn't 100% sure about, lots of the origins of it, or how much design went into it. Well, it turns out the FMS Rock Hobby, no design went into it. That is just a rebranded Yikong TB7. So FMS is not doing anything of that on their own. So a lot of comments on that. Yes. So thank you for letting me know. That was just a rebrand, and I appreciate it when you guys have that feedback on that stuff. I do read all those comments, so I appreciate everybody who drops that in. But with that, I'd like to have you guys all make some New Year's resolutions that are RC related. I don't want like the serious ones, like workout. RC related New Year's resolution. And then we'll see how far you guys make it once we get in there. But that does it for this year. It was a good year. I'm going to try for the first episode of the new year, once I'm kind of back in my studio and I can do a little bit more production, I'll try and go through and do my favorite stories of 2024, just to kind of reminisce on the year. I started making a list already, but I was like, I want to try and do this when I can do it properly rather than right before I'm trying to catch a flight. So, but that is going to do it for this episode and this year. It was good stuff. I appreciate all you guys for watching. Had a lot of fun this year. More changes for next year, though. I think next year could be a pretty interesting / wild year. So for me and for RC, whatever. But looking forward to everything. So thanks as always. You guys, channel means a lot to me. All you guys make the channel. So big thanks. Hope you all have a happy new year. Be safe, be happy, be healthy. See you guys later.